is a severe weather alert.
Well, we are due for an update on Severe Tropical Cyclone Debbie very soon, but I will give you the latest warning details and forecast details. Now, this is what it looks like currently on the Queensland coast. Places like Hamilton Island have gusted to 122 kilometers an hour. That is right below the threshold for destructive winds. So gales have developed across the Whitsundays and Hamilton Island and are extending into the Proserpine region. And now we're starting to see those destructive winds also develop in that area right now. You see everyone packing and preparing for the impact of the cyclone, particularly coastal regions south of about Cape Ferguson to Mackay. And that is because we will have some significant coastal inundation in that area. More on that in just a second. Let's take a look at the satellite imagery. We can see that it is still organizing in a very, strengthening away. Just taking a look, you can see the eye getting even more clear on the satellite imagery each pass we make at this. And underneath that cloud, well, the showers are affecting the coastline right now. Mackay is starting to pile on the rain. Heavy rain is leading to areas of flash flooding around the region, but it will continue to intensify because this cyclone is going to continue to move in that west-southwesterly direction towards the coast. Rainfall is only going to be intensifying, and that means showers are going to be more persistent and more heavy. You can see the showers are extending just to the south of the Townsville region right now. They're enveloping places like Proserpine, and they're moving in a southeasterly direction. Additionally, we've also mentioned those gales that have developed around Hamilton Island, now nearly destructive winds there as well. Mackay, 30 millimeters since 9 a.m. this morning. We've also had some areas pick up over 40 millimeters since 9 a.m. this morning. That includes, in fact, Mackay Airport, which is still beginning to reckon on. Rockhampton at 5 millimeters since 9 a.m. this morning, and Gladstone 5 millimeters as well. The cyclone is 5 kilometers an hour at least, below what would be a Category 4 tropical cyclone. So it is intensifying very rapidly, and it is a dangerous system. Now, the tropical cyclone warning extends between Cardwell to St. Lawrence, including Mackay, Proserpine, Collinsville, Charters Towers, Ayr, and Townsville. It doesn't include as far inland as Mount Coolon. That is in the watch area. Currently a Category 3 tropical cyclone. Gales will begin to extend further north and south down from the coastline and developing Townsville down to St. Lawrence later in the evening. And if you're in a tropical cyclone warning area, that means gales are going to develop in under 24 hours. And indeed, we already are seeing them. Destructive winds are starting to develop now around the Whitsundays, and they're going to be extending further north, south, and west along the coastline and into tomorrow. It'll continue strengthening into a Category 4 before it makes landfall somewhere between Townsville and Mackay early on Tuesday morning. As a Category 4, the destructive core of it will contain wind gusts up to 260 kilometers an hour. That is enough to bring down many structures if they're not rated for that Category 4 strength. Now, in terms of the rainfall, we've talked about the winds. Let's talk about the rainfall. Severe flash flooding is likely really across this coastline, developing now and extending further north and south into this evening. So this is 5 a.m. on Tuesday, right before that crossing. Again, sometime on Tuesday morning between Townsville and Mackay. The heavy rain is enveloping between Townsville down to Mackay, past there, and nearly at St. Lawrence, and then it'll continue to intensify as it crosses the coastline. The strongest the cyclone will be is probably just before it makes the coastal crossing, because there's nothing to prohibit the development at all. And even after it crosses, now we're looking at Wednesday, we still have very moist and gusty northerly winds delivering heavy showers right all through this region. So let's take a look at a little bit exploded view of that crossing, diminishing to a Category 1 on Wednesday, and then a low on Wednesday afternoon, but still bringing heavy rainfall to this entire region around here, and that'll continue to result in severe flash flooding. That means we could see areas, even after the cyclone passing, of 24 to 48 hours of severe weather. So if you're affected by the cyclone, it may be some time before the authorities are able to reach you. In addition to the heavy rain leading to flash flooding, we also have the threat of river flooding. A major flood warning is extending between Rolling Stone, and Gladstone. And it does include totals over 400 millimeters possible. That'll result in major river flooding regardless of where that falls. But coastal catchments, they generally drain quite quickly. Inland catchments, you could see flooding extended for weeks. Now, there is already an initial flood warning out, a moderate flood warning, in fact, for the Don River. No moderate flooding is actually occurring there as yet, but we are anticipating it to happen sometime overnight and into tomorrow. In addition to that, we also have the threat of local inundation across the coastline. Very recently, the Mackay Regional Council actually released a series of maps which highlighted where people are at risk from coastal inundation. Now, it's not an evacuation order, but it is a heads up, and it is something to be thoughtful of, because if you are in those areas, then you could be in for some coastal inundation. And it's not just Mackay, really from the south of Townsville, about Cape Ferguson down to Mackay, we'll see a very large storm tide where we could have over 1.5 meters above the highest astronomical tide of the year. In addition to that, heavy and damaging surf will also be affecting the coastline. So not only coastal inundation of low-lying coastal areas, but also coastal erosion is fairly likely. Now, in addition to what we're seeing in the northeast of the country, we've also had some other weather occur across other capital cities today. And I'm joined by Emma Ralph in the studio. And